I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Out of my eyes! I never misspelled anything! Not once, not one time!
Happy Valentine's Day! What a great day to talk about a shitty romantic movie called Twilight. In the year 2008, movies like Iron Man, The Dark Knight, WALL-E, these films were huge and awesome. And we also had movies like Twilight. And according to the Los Angeles Times, Twilight is a full-blown pop culture phenomenon. Would you agree that Twilight is a full-blown pop culture phenomenon?
Yes.
Does that mean it's good?
No.
Twilight. So in preparation, we not only watched the movie, but my wife reread the entire book. Mercifully, you did that, and I didn't. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking that sacrifice.
I don't know why I did it. It's... He did puppy dog face. I did it for him. That's why I did it. Oh, I don't like the puppy dog face.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So the movie opens with Bella, played by Kristen Stewart, blandly narrating everything for us, because that's just what all of these movies are like. There's always a teenage character who wants us to feel angsty about their angst, because they're very angst-filled with angst.
The book is exactly like the movie in feel, I guess. It's just monologuing and depression and angst.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it only took me 36 hours to read what usually takes me 6.
What Twilight has going for it is that it's pretty. It's a good-looking movie. Everyone's pretty, and there's faces that are pretty, and the location's pretty.
The location's pretty, the people are pretty, the CGI is terrible.
So Bella's the new kid at this high school. She has the nice kid who comes up and tells her where everything is, because you always have to have a character that tells the audience character, who is Bella, where everything is. Just like in Mean Girls. If you guys saw Mean Girls, you remember Mean Girls?
Who doesn't remember Mean Girls?
It's actually not a bad movie. There's always the audience character, the new person who needs to get information and exposition from everybody. So you have the nice kid come in and go, hey, you're not very popular and you're new, but we're just going to be super nice to you because you're hot.
Because that's so how high school went.
Yeah, not for me.
Not for me either.
When I was a new kid in school, no one spoke to me. No one.
When I was in school, nobody spoke to me, and I had gone to school with them for 12 years.
Yeah, so school sucks. Don't go to school, is basically what we're saying. Just
no, go to school. Please go to school.
School's good. Go to school. So Bella meets Edward, and for whatever reason, Edward has an incredibly adverse reaction to her. It's very apparent.
Like yeah, they used a fan to make him smell her.
A fan is blowing and her scent is wafted to him, and he's just like, oh God, it's just... And you can just tell, like, instantly, he hates being near this person. Apologies, camera angle change. Apparently my last camera, which is a slightly better camera, decided to die on me in the middle of that review. So, you get the lesser camera, but the review is still going to be the same from us. So, next in the film, we get some amazing dialogue. Enjoy.
I don't really like the rain. Any cold, wet thing, I don't really...
What does that even mean? Like, what? Why? Like, who talks like that? Nobody talks like that. Now, I like Kristen Stewart as an actress now.
I don't have a predisposition for any particular actor or actress. I like to judge them solely on whatever they're actually working on and not, oh, well, it's this guy, so it's going to be good for all of them.
Exactly.
No, I just would rather judge them on the film individually, not as a whole.
I agree with you, but in this movie, she's terrible. She's awful. She mumbles through the entire film. I think you brought out that she blinks endlessly. Just nothing but this all the time, and she's constantly like, just always, she always seems like she's trying not to poop.
Yeah.
Like she's just on the cusp of pooping, and she's trying so hard not to.
I wonder who gave her that direction. Look like you're about to cry and poop at the same time because you have diarrhea.
Yeah.
Who gave her that direction?
Apparently Catherine Hardwicke, the director.
This entire movie was made by women.
Yeah, I know. The author is a woman, the screenwriter is a woman, the director is a woman, and the lead star is a woman. And for some reason, our lead female character is useless. This is something that we're going to talk about here. She gets rescued every other scene. She can't figure things out in every scene, and she doesn't get to make any decisions on her own. That's like, no decisions are bad.
A girl who can think for herself. Oh my, what is the world coming to?
Bella's one of the worst characters, I think, ever in a big budget popular movie. There are worse movies and worse characters, but most of those films aren't as popular as Twilight is.
Yes.
For a film this popular and from a book that popular, this character is terrible. There's nothing about her. There's nothing interesting about her.
There really isn't. Even in the book, there's really nothing interesting about her. In the book, they don't even give her a backstory. Like, did she even have a life in Arizona? It's never even talked about. If she had any friends, did she have any hobbies? The only thing they talk about is that she likes to read and that she's a bit of an introvert. And that's like it. And that she has depression.
That's
that was her character in the book. She's pretty much that same way through all of the books. Just a weak character.
Mercifully, I have not read these books.
I've read all of them. And I kind of regret my life. But
I'm glad you're still sitting here, alive.
It nearly killed me.
Another thing that is very, very apparent in this movie is that Edward's a giant stalker. He watches her across the parking lot. He follows her around town. He even says this.
I like watching you sleep.
And for whatever reason, Bella's fine with that because he's just so hot. This is a terrible relationship.
It's a mutually abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And it's a very destructive relationship. There's even like blogs online and pages designated to how destructive the relationship of Edward and Bella truly is. If you start reading it, it's just like, oh my god, it ticks like every one of the box of an abusive relationship. At least in the emotional category.
Sure. There's also a lot of Googling in this movie. I mean, Google must have paid them a lot. After Edward saves Bella, she's like, obviously, questioning him, like, how'd you do that?
I had an adrenaline rush. It's very common. You can Google it.
What? Like, what? This is so stupid. Like, I mean, it's like almost like the filmmakers thought maybe the audience doesn't really know what Google is, even though everyone knew what Google was.
By 2008, yeah.
Yeah.
They knew what Google was.
Oh, well, we'll throw in some Google. And later in the film, she does another Google search and starts suspecting that Edward's a vampire. This is such lazy storytelling. It's such lazy screenwriting. It's like, we can't think of a way for Bella to suspect this. We'll just have her search Google.
Because that's how we all figure out that the men in our lives are vampires. I mean, you tick the boxes of being a vampire, honey. You're
I'm
pale.
I don't like the sun. I look like Edward.
No, you don't. I don't think Robert Pattinson's all that attractive, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he's a hard to look at guy. He's hot.
That's him saying that, not me.
Speaking of product placement, there's a lot of Twizzlers in this movie.
I don't get it. Other than maybe it's a reference to blood-looking candy?
Maybe. All I could think of is that Twizzlers was like, hey, can you just have scenes where everyone's just munching on Twizzlers because we like money?
Maybe it was because Twizzlers are red and everything else in this movie isn't done in a scale of gray, that they needed something to at least contrast at a couple points, so they used a Twizzler.
That was in the contract.
I don't know.
That was in the contract. They were like, Twizzlers, look, this entire movie is a dull gray color palette. Everyone will notice the Twizzlers. Everyone. You will make so much money. Everyone who loves Twilight will want to eat Twizzlers. Like, yep, put them in, yep, Twizzlers, yep.
I'm wondering if at the screenings they handed out boxes of Twizzlers.
I wish I went to screenings in 2008 so I could know what gift they gave attendees. Let's talk about some of the line delivery in this movie. It's amazingly bad.
Whoa. What is going on?
If I came home from a store or something and there were cop cars outside the house, I guarantee the first thing out of my mouth would not be, whoa, what is going on? I would be like, holy shit, I better go chat. I wouldn't be like, whoa, what is going on?
It's even hard to watch you do that. But I have
People don't talk like that.
I have to admit that there are so many lines like that in this book that are just like, wow, what must that be like? And I have marked up this book with notes of just what were they thinking when they wrote this? Did nobody stop to read this aloud?
I could see why it took you so long to read it, because every 2 seconds you were like, that
Yeah,
sucks.
do you see that?
That sucks.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah. Well, honey, what must that be like?
I don't know. I waited 369 pages to get to the plot of the book.
What must that be like?
Painful. You heard me crying when I was reading this, didn't you?
What must that be like? Whoa, what is going on?
I'm trying to find the page. I marked it. Oh, here it is. I waited and read all of this till page 328 to get a plot.
What must that be like?
Terrible.
So as we said, Google makes Bella suspect that Edward is in fact a vampire, and he decides to reveal himself. He's a girl, whatever.
He looks like a
himself, herself, fuck it. He reveals himself to Bella, and he's sparkling in the sun. And she says,
Beautiful.
That scene spawned one of my favorite lines ever that made fun of another movie inside of a movie. And that is in Hotel Transylvania.
right, yeah.
When Vlad is crawling up the plane.
Here, I'll show you the clip.
Tell me, do you dream of being a vampire?
This is how we're represented. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was like, I remember just sitting in that movie just going, that just made the entire movie for me. That line right there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was great stuff. In a kid's movie, no less. It was probably one of the better jokes in an Adam Sandler movie, even though it's not really an Adam Sandler movie, but it was probably one of his better jokes.
Our first date.
That was our first date.
It was.
So eventually, Bella becomes unconditionally, irrevocably in love with Edward, and we get a ton of montage sequences, hang on Spider Monkey, with more horrible CGI, and jumping around trees, and piano playing, and laying in fields, and, stuff teenagers do.
And yes, and then we lead into they try to make out with the world's slowest kiss. Just
Right.
like this movie, everything is so slow. Well, this is super awkward.
Is it okay if I just kind of smell you?
I really don't like this. This is uncomfortable.
Can I just...
Okay, I really have to get out of your face now. This is too much. This is too much. No.
One thing that is not is romantic. And
It's
for whatever
uncomfortable.
reason, Twilight thinks it's romantic. And it's awkward. And really, that's this whole movie. It's just a very awkward movie. When Bella meets Edward's family, that's understandably awkward. But the majority of this movie is cringeworthy in regards to how awkward it is.
I don't think meeting your family was awkward.
No, but when you're not a vampire and all the family members are vampires, it could be a little weird, I guess. I don't know, especially,
Maybe.
but it's okay because they're vegetarians.
Yes, they're vegetarians.
So, they're nice vampires. But there are bad vampires, and one of them finds Bella in the middle of a baseball game where Bella's the umpire.
It's the American pastime.
It is the American pastime. Bella's the umpire despite not being able to actually see what's happening because everyone's so fast. She's the umpire. I needed more scenes that were just dumb. Like a vampire baseball game. If Twilight was more tongue-in-cheek, I'd probably like it. But it's so
I don't know if I could handle
serious.
any more dumb scenes, though.
You know what I mean? Like, just scenes that are so silly. Like, vampire baseball. The entire film is so self-serious. That one scene was like, hey, we're being stupid and we're playing baseball because there's lightning. Like, I can deal with that. But when the entire film is just so, like, teen angst, we need more dumb scenes like that. So,
There's not even any in the book, to be quite honest.
oh,
that are
that's sad.
dumb. The baseball field probably is the funniest scene
Got it.
of the whole thing.
It's very uneventful.
It takes into, like, the fourth act.
The
It's
fourth
actually-
act. Twilight invented a fourth act.
It's because you move through 3 different acts before you
Right.
get to that one.
It's
You're
like
just
Taco Bell, the fourth meal. Twilight
It
has
does.
the fourth act.
It does. If you think about how the movie's cut up.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't go to the 1, 2, 3. It goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5.
But once the plot finally happens, there's a bad evil vampire that for whatever reason wants to hunt Bella because he smells her. And he decides to play serial killer games with Bella by filming her with his camera and playing weird mind games by taking her to the ballet studio she went to when she was young and pretending like he kidnapped her mother. And these are things he never did earlier in the film. He just hunted people and killed them. Now he's like a serial killer because we need more time for Edward to show up to save her, which of course he does. And we get this really overblown action-y sequence with wires and flipping. Bella really wants to turn into a vampire, and this is her opportunity. Edward doesn't let her, though, and he sucks the blood out of her. She ends up in a hospital, and for whatever reason, no one, including her father, who's like a police officer, or any of the doctors, question the incredibly obvious bite mark right here on her wrist that anybody anywhere, like a baby would be like, oh, you got bit by a doggy. Like anybody would know that was a bite mark.
A
But-
human bite mark at that.
Yeah. And no one... Screenplay writing. Write things. Learn how to write.
They don't even write that in the book. Never explains it either.
Ugh. And of course, Edward does not allow Bella to be a vampire, despite the fact that she is literally begging him to allow it, because women don't get to make their own decisions, apparently. How do you feel about that? That's what I thought. And Ugly Jacob is in this movie. I call him Ugly Jacob because he's got the long hair and he's not Hot Jacob yet. Who, by the way, was totally illegal when New Moon came out and everyone was like, oh my god, Jacob's so hot.
Yeah, gross. You know what's funny? He's only in the 3 scenes in the movie.
Right. He's basically there just to remind us that there's going to be a love triangle.
Yeah, I think he's only in 2 in the book. I applaud you for watching them all because I think I've only seen the first 2.
But see, you've read the books and I have not. So we even each other out in that way. You've suffered through the books. I've suffered through the movies. That's our Hilariocity review of Twilight. If you didn't guess, we don't really like the movie.
I've been trying to process it for a week now, and it's just not gone very well.
It was actually, I noticed, I was like, why are you acting so different? And you're like, I'm reading Twilight. I'm reading it, okay, just leave me alone. It was really like that.
I literally had a psychodepressive 36 hours of just leave me the hell alone, back off, I need space, I'm trying to finish this book.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this Hilariocity review of Twilight. Happy Valentine's Day. If you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, happy day. Be happy, it's a day.
Don't watch Twilight.
No, don't. Pretty soon I'm going to have another Hilariocity review for you. I'm actually not sure what it will be. I have a few different choices, 3 different movies that are kind of going along in my head right now. But after that, I'm going to have a new series of Hilariocity reviews for you guys, and that is going to be for DC Comics movies, leading up to Batman v Superman, because DC Comics movies, there are a lot of terrible ones, really bad.
We had an easy time picking them, too.
It's true.
There was a very long list.
There is a very long list. And I can tell you now, my very first one is going to be for Supergirl, the movie from 1984, not the new TV show. So look forward to that. That's not going to be next week. There's going to be a surprise Hilariocity next week. But after that, DC Comics movies. Guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you, honey, for suffering through this with me. Thank you very much. Okay! If you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmann.
Did you?
Here, have an Edward toy.
Did you seriously just toss an Edward toy at me?
I fucking found it in a bargain bin.
It's obviously a bargain bin. Did you look at the paint job on this thing? My god.